What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. Ralph Waldo Emerson. My name is Elena, and this is the story of how I manifested my dream into reality. For as long as I could remember, I had always dreamed of owning a cozy little bookshop, a sanctuary for dreamers, thinkers, and seekers of stories. I pictured a charming space filled with warm lighting, wooden shelves brimming with books, and a scent of aged pages mixed with freshly brewed coffee. It was a place where the soul could rest, where the world slowed down for a while, and where people could lose themselves in the magic of stories. But life, as it often does, took me in another direction. Instead of curating books and creating a haven for fellow book lovers, I found myself stuck in a dreary office job that drained my spirit. The office was suffocating, gray walls, flickering fluorescent lights, and the constant hum of computers. The workload was overwhelming, and every task felt like a mountain to climb. But it wasn't just the tasks themselves that wore me down. It was the people, particularly my boss, whose harshness made every day feel like a battle. No matter how hard I worked, it was never enough. My efforts were always met with criticism, and the smallest mistakes were magnified. One day, I remember distinctly, I spent hours working on a report, double-checking every detail to ensure perfection. When I handed it in, my boss barely glanced at it before tossing it onto his desk. "This is garbage," he said coldly, shaking his head. "Did you even try? Or are you just wasting my time?" The room fell silent as my coworkers avoided eye contact, and I felt a lump form in my throat. He didn't even give me a chance to respond before launching into a tirade about how useless I was. The feeling of being small, invisible, and utterly powerless washed over me. It was a harsh reminder that this was not my life, that this was not who I was meant to be. That evening, I left work feeling like a shell of myself. The weight of the office lingered as I walked through the city streets, aimlessly searching for something to ease the ache inside me. As I wandered, I found myself outside a secondhand bookstore. It wasn't a place I frequented, but something about it called to me. I stepped inside, the door chiming softly as it opened, and I immediately felt the comforting embrace of books surrounding me. I ran my fingers along the spines of old novels, inhaling the familiar scent of adventure and possibility. It was as if the store itself was whispering, reminding me of the dreams I had tucked away. It was there that I stumbled upon a book about manifestation. The idea that my thoughts could shape my reality fascinated me. I had heard of manifestation before, but the book laid out the principles in such a way that it felt like a revelation. I devoured its pages, each word igniting a spark within me. Could it really be this simple? Could my dreams come to life, simply by believing in them and taking the right steps? With nothing to lose, I decided to give it a try. Every night before bed, I would close my eyes and visualize my dream bookstore. I imagined stepping inside, hearing the soft murmur of visitors browsing, seeing their faces light up as they discovered stories that spoke to their souls. I envisioned myself behind the counter, recommending books, wrapping purchases in brown paper, and writing personalized notes for customers. It all felt so real that in those moments, my heart swelled with joy, as if I were already living my dream. Determined to bring my vision to life, I started a manifestation journal. Every morning, I wrote as though my dream had already materialized. Today, the shop was bustling with visitors. A woman found a book that changed her life, and she left with a smile, promising to return. I filled pages with gratitude for the customers I had yet to meet, the shelves I had yet to fill, and the stories I had yet to share. Weeks passed, and although I had no clear path to making my dream a reality, I refused to let doubt creep in. Instead, I took small, inspired actions. I visited independent bookstores, spoke with their owners, and absorbed everything I could about running a business. I even transformed a corner of my apartment into a miniature book nook, complete with fairy lights, stacks of books, and a cozy reading chair. It was my way of telling the universe, I am ready. Then the magic happened. One afternoon, as I sat sipping coffee at my favorite cafe, I overheard a conversation at the next table. A retired gentleman, with silver hair and an air of nostalgia, was reminiscing about an old bookstore he used to own. He spoke of how it had been closed for years, the lease still intact, and the books stored away, gathering dust. His voice was tinged with sadness as he explained how he didn't know what to do with it all. My heart raced. Could this be the sign I had been waiting for? Gathering every ounce of courage, I introduced myself and shared my dream with him. To my amazement, he was enchanted by my passion. He had always wished for his beloved bookstore to live on, and my words seemed to rekindle something within him. "If you're serious about this," he said with a twinkle in his eye, "perhaps we can work something out." Within a month, I was holding the keys to my very own bookstore. The lease terms were unbelievably generous, the inventory was mine to keep, and everything fell into place as if the universe had orchestrated it all perfectly. I was overwhelmed with gratitude, but also filled with a sense of deep responsibility. This was it. This was the moment I had been waiting for. The day I opened my doors, I stood in the center of my shop, taking in the scene around me. The warm glow of the hanging lights, the comforting scent of books, the quiet hum of people browsing. It was exactly as I had envisioned it. A deep sense of peace settled in my chest. My dream had become reality, not by chance, but through unwavering belief, inspired action, and a willingness to follow the signs placed before me. The first few months were challenging, as I had expected. There were days when the shop was quiet, and I wondered if my dream would truly come to life. But I refused to give up. Every morning, I reminded myself that I had already manifested this dream. I kept my vision clear, and with each passing day, I took small steps to build my shop into a thriving business. I carefully curated a collection that catered to all kinds of readers. From classic novels to modern bestsellers, from self-help books to hidden gems by local authors, my shop became a place where anyone could find something that spoke to their heart. I hosted book readings, invited local authors for signing events, and created cozy nooks where visitors could curl up with a book before making a purchase. It was during one of these readings that I met Lily, a young girl no older than 10, who walked into the shop with wide-eyed wonder. She wandered the aisles, her fingers brushing the pages as if she were afraid to disturb the stories hidden within. Then, she picked up a well-loved copy of Alice in Wonderland and hugged it to her chest. When she looked up at me, her eyes shining, she said, "This is my dream come true." I smiled, my heart swelling. I knew exactly how she felt. This place, this sanctuary of books, wasn't just a dream for me. It was a dream for everyone who stepped through the door and found a piece of magic. But as time went on, I realized that the journey wasn't without its challenges. Some months were slow, and there were times when doubt crept in. Was I really cut out for this? Could I continue to make this work? On those days, I turned to my manifestation journal, rereading the entries I had written with such fervor. I realized that everything I had once written had come to life in one way or another. The key to manifesting wasn't just believing. It was persistence, resilience, and taking action despite fear. As word spread, my bookstore became a beloved landmark in the community. It wasn't just a place to buy books. It was a place to find hope, inspiration, and connection. I collaborated with local artists, hosted workshops, and even started a book club. The cafe next door began sending customers my way, and in return, I encouraged my visitors to grab a coffee and settle in with a book. It was a partnership built on mutual respect and the shared goal of nurturing the community. Then, one unexpected afternoon, a journalist from a popular magazine wandered into my shop. She had heard about the bookstore and wanted to write a piece on it. After spending the afternoon soaking in the atmosphere, she fell in love with the place. A few weeks later, an article was published about my bookstore, a heartfelt piece about the power of dreams, belief, and perseverance. The response was immediate. More people began visiting, some even traveling from other towns just to experience the magic of the shop. With increased traffic, I found myself expanding. I introduced new events like poetry nights, a writing workshop for aspiring authors, and a small cafe nook for people to sit and write or read. The bookstore evolved beyond what I had imagined. It became a space where creativity and community flourished, where everyone could find a sense of belonging. One day, the retired bookstore owner came by to see how things were going. He looked around, his eyes shining with pride.
"You did it," he said.
"And you made it better than I ever could." In that moment, I realized that my dream wasn't just mine anymore. It belonged to everyone who stepped into the bookstore, found a book that spoke to them, and carried a piece of that magic home with them. So, if you're holding on to a dream, know that it's possible. It's waiting for you to claim it. See it, believe in it, and take the steps, however small, toward it. Because dreams don't just stay dreams when you believe in their power. And just like that, my bookstore wasn't just a shop. It was proof that manifestation, when coupled with action, creates miracles.